All right, everybody, welcome to challenge number 4, a plethora of pictures. And I'm so excited when I go on Facebook and I read the posts from the group about people being excited to come to the webinar. So I'm excited to have you, and I'm so happy that you're excited to be here. And some of the comments really made me laugh. If you're on board with us today and not part of the Facebook group, but you do Facebook, I would really recommend joining that Facebook group, because besides the fact that you can find some really great answers to your questions, they're highly entertaining. So thank you so much for those of you who are participating in our group. Well, welcome to challenge number 4, and let's get started with this week's winner, which is Rochelle Jaworski-Koopman. And I don't need to read her whole thing to you, just that she's making great progress and she's loving that everything has a place now. So way to go, Rochelle, and you have a $25 gift certificate coming your way. If we don't have an email address for you in our system, though, it's hard for us to track some people down. So if you don't hear from us, please feel free to email Joanna at customerservice@thescraprack.com, and she will get your coupon code out to you. So, and hang on to it, because at the end of the month, all our new products are coming in. Hooray. Now, the ladies in Texas got a sneak peek of new products. So some stuff came into China, but came in from China to the show in Texas, so they got to see those things. All right, so our webinar goal is to have a strong system for sorting, storing, and organizing both digital and printed photographs, and also understanding how to tag digital photos so that you can find them easily. And again, that's really the key, right? I say it over and over again. If it's easy, you'll do it. If it's difficult, you won't. So tagging those photos and coming up with a way to tag them so that you can find them is really an important part of the puzzle. Okay, what will you need to complete your task this week? You'll need software for storing your digital images, and there's a lot of different options out there. I use Microsoft Office Picture Manager. It's part of Microsoft Office Suite. You probably have it on your computer, and you don't even know it's there if you've never used it. Sorry to pause for a drink of water there. But there's some, Picasa works great, and it's free, and then Creative Memories has one that people love. Now, the Creative Memories one, if you're like to micromanage your organization details, the Creative Memories one really lets you get deep into the organization of the nitty-gritty details. So if you like that, that Creative Memories one is something you probably want to talk to your Creative Memories rep about. And again, on the Facebook group, there are people using iPhoto with Mac and Creative Memories and Picasa and Microsoft Office Picture Manager. They're all there. So if you're debating which thing you want to use, that Facebook group is a great place to get people's opinions on them. Photo storage boxes are some way to store your printed photos. A perpetual calendar, which if you don't know what that is, you're going to see what it is toward the end of the presentation. And then some folders, paper, sticky notes for labeling and sorting. So let's start with the same thing we always start with. You have to gather up those photos. So your first step is to gather all the printed photos together in one place, and then gather all of your digital photos together in one place. Now, if you are kind of in the wind with your photos on your computer, downloading a program like Picasa, which is P-I-C-A-S-A, is going to help, because Picasa will, as soon as you download it, it will go out into your computer and it will round up every image you've ever saved on your computers, including advertising images and that kind of stuff you may not even know is there on the computer. But it'll round it all up, and it'll put it in chronological order based on the information that was given when those images were downloaded into your computer. So Picasa is a great way to go in and sort of clean everything up and put it in one place. I'm sure the other programs do that as well. I'm just not familiar with them, but that one's free. So you got to gather all those pictures together, whether you have them all piled up in a junk drawer somewhere or stacked in boxes. You want to bring them all together and get ready to rock and roll with the physical sort of those printed photos. And in this process, we're going to label the boxes. We're going to put to and from dates. Look for sorted pictures, pictures that to and from that you know the year or the approximate dates they are, but they need to be sorted beyond that. And then there's just going to be some boxes for all of us who have things kind of spread around that need to be sorted from start to finish. And I think there were a couple posts about that on the Facebook page. Someone had mentioned that as she was organizing her scrapbooking supplies, she kept coming across these sort of stray photos all around everywhere. So this is what that's going to look like. You're going to have your photos that you need to sort. So you see in this top left box, this is May to July, and they needed to be sorted. So it was all of those years, May 2002 to July 2004, but not really in any order. And then photos from June 2001 to April 2002, and those are sorted and put in order. And then just a couple of boxes of photos that just need to be sorted. Oops, a little fast with the mouse there. Let's get back here. So this was a great suggestion, I thought, from one of the gals who took the class previously. And I apologize. I didn't write down who sent in the idea. I usually like to try and give credit to people who send me fabulous ideas that I use, and I apologize because in this case I didn't. But her suggestion was that she started a family timeline, and really fun to do this. Your kids oftentimes do it when they're in the lower school. You know, like I think my kids did it in either kindergarten or first grade, where they made this little family timeline or their life timeline, I guess, which is pretty short in first grade. But I thought it was a great tool that if you started this timeline, as you came across things, you could add them to the timeline, and then it's easier to fill in other things. So especially for people who have years and years worth of photos stacked up somewhere where it's hard to remember exactly when this happened or that happened, if you start that timeline, you might find your pictures from Disneyland in 2004, and then you might also find some Easter pictures, and you're like, I don't remember if this is Easter of 03 or 04, but by looking at the way kids' hair is cut or whatever, you might be able to throw it into that timeline because you have the Disney ones already done or whatever. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of rambling. But I think it'd be easy to start this major timeline and then do your sorting template. So creating a family timeline I thought was really fun. And it's something that your family can help you with and kind of interject, what things were and who did what and when. Then you're going to create some sorting guides. So you can either sort into boxes or you can use sheets of paper. I'm going to show you both methods here. You want to note the dates and major events on whatever type of sorting guide you're using. And sticky notes can work great and can be transferred to the photos once the sorting is done. So if you're using sticky notes, you want to write on them so that you can stick the back of the sticky note to the back of a photo and read the tab on it. Does that make sense? So for what that means to me is that I have to fold the sticky note over and stick it down and write on it. I'm not sure if everybody's following me on that. That might be one of those crazy brain tricks that my OCD brain does. So this is basically what your sorting templates are going to look like. Now, in these pictures, the paper that I use looks like it's yellow legal size paper, but it's just the angle of the camera. It's actually just 8.5 by 11 paper. Each sorting sheet should give some basic information or reference to major events. So this is where that timeline would come in. If you do the timeline first, then you can do this on your sorting template. So for 2009, now there's some coding going on here. So if you look at my 2009, it says SB and then it says Moab. And if you look over at the 2010 sheet, it says SB and then it says Death Valley. So I always abbreviate spring break as SB. It's part of my tag sheet note of how I tag things. But so again, once you start putting things in there like the spring breaks, then it's easy to remember, okay, if in 2009 we were in Moab, the year after that we went to Death Valley, or the year before that we went to Hawaii, or whatever it is. It makes it a little bit simpler. Then you see at the bottom it says LT 7 and 8, Max 5 and 6, and then has a circled number. So in 2009, LT, who's my older son, London Thomas, turned 13, and he graduated 7th grade and moved into 8th grade. And so I just put those little notes down there. So as I come across pictures and I go, okay, this is September of the 8th grade for London, I know exactly where it goes. I don't have to count on my fingers and toes what year in school he would have been or whatever it is. So just some little cheater notes like that make it easier to keep moving forward. There's a temptation not to do those things first because you just want to get in and get going. But remember about your brain, and your rational brain gets exhausted and then it stops making decisions, or it starts agonizing over decisions or becomes overwhelmed. And little cheater steps in the process are what's going to keep your rational brain from getting exhausted. So if you spend a few minutes getting yourself set up for success, then it's going to be easier to continue through the process. Step 4, sort onto your sorting guide. Start with the year, and don't worry about groups of pictures from particular events unless they're already together. Just get everything into the right year pile. So this is a completely subjective exercise, which means you can recruit family members to help, and it'll be fun. So because things are subjective, obviously, you can do this with family members, and you might keep a little notepad handy because they will remember things differently than you did. So you can jot down little notes as you're putting things away, or little stories or perspectives, and put them right in with the photographs as you're sorting them if you have family members that are helping you sort and organize those pictures. So here's what it looks like as you start to sort those pictures. So you can either use a box, which is what I've got here, and so I put my little cheater notes on sticky notes, and so everything that fits one of those categories is going to end up in that box. Or you can use the papers, which you can see also have spread out all over my countertop here. And if you look over to the left, that front pile of pictures on the right side, sorry about that, on the right side, you can see they're kind of crisscrossed. So if you do come across groups of pictures that are all together, go ahead and crisscross them on the pile so they stay a little bit more separate. Just don't worry, if they're not like that already, don't worry about trying to keep up with that next step of organization. Just get them into the major year category there. Step 5 is to sort those stacks into events. And so once your stacks are done by year, then you can sort by events, Christmases, birthday, Easter, whatever it is. Create folders for each event that you're going to scrap. Choose the number of layouts and note it on the folder. So I don't know if we've talked about this before. I guess we probably haven't. So one of the things that makes it really easy to get your pictures organized is if you set a goal for yourself of how many pictures you're going to use per 12 by 12 layout before you even start the sorting process. Because that'll really guide you through how many pictures you need to put in your ready to scrap box and how many pictures just need to go in your chronological storage box or maybe into the recycle bin. So for me, it's 6 pictures. I choose 6 pictures for every 12 by 12 layout I'm going to do. So before I start organizing pictures, let's say I'm going to do that trip to Moab. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do 3 double-page layouts of that trip. And so that's 36 pictures that I get to choose. And then as I'm going through and organizing the pictures, I already sort of know in my head I have to choose the best 36 pictures. Or I have to choose, it's going to be 6 single pages or 3 double pages. I have to choose those 6 themes or the 6 titles on those pages that I'm going to work with before I start, so that I have direction. And this is one of the things that people don't do. And I'll tell you, it will make your life so much easier. In every aspect, we think to ourselves, I don't need to take the 5 minutes to make that list, because in the 5 minutes it takes me to make that list, I could have had this done. It's the same thing in the morning with your to-do list, right? Sometimes you think in the morning, here's my to-do list, unload the dishwasher, pick up the mail, whatever it is. And sometimes you think, in the time it's going to take me to do this list, I could cross 3 things off of it. But what happens is, with your morning to-do list, you think that, and then as you walk upstairs to do something, you will go upstairs to get the laundry or whatever, and then you get sidetracked because the kid needs something for school that you forgot about, and then you're back downstairs doing that, and pretty soon these little things that would have taken you 5 minutes have totally dropped out of your brain. And later in the day when you needed that laundry completed or whatever it was, you totally forgot because you got sidetracked. So taking the time to make that list is really helpful anytime. I cannot stress enough how helpful it is to focus yourself on a list. So even with these, I want you to focus on a list. I'm going to do the Moab layout. I have 1 page is called Getting There. 1 page is, campsite, nightmare, or whatever happened on the trip, hike to Arches, whatever it is. So I have sort of guides already. Now I'm going to pick the pictures that fit that. If as I'm going through those pictures, I totally forgot that we saw a rattlesnake up close and personal, and I want to have another page, I want to add a 7th page called Rattlesnake Up Close and Personal, at that point I can add it to the list. But as I'm going through the pictures, I'm already sort of arranging things so that they're ready to go into an album and so that they have some continuity in that process. So just because you start with 6 doesn't mean you have to finish with 6. You might only come up with 5 pages that you want to do, or you might come up with 8. But once you get that list going before you start sorting the next step, it's going to be so much easier. Okay, so there was my soapbox for the day, ladies. Then you're going to put the pictures into each folder and put the remaining photos in the picture box using sticky notes to tag them. When I say the remaining photos, those are the ones you're probably not going to scrap, that are just going to be stored chronologically. And then you're going to put the pink folders into a box labeled Photos to Scrap, include notes about where the memorabilia is stored, and any journaling notes, even if they're just bullet points. So this is what that's going to look like. So we sorted the pictures by year first. Then we're going to sort the pictures by event. So you can see here, when I did this, I had 2008 road trip summer, 5 pages, 30 pictures. 2008 Hawaii spring, 6 pages, 36 pictures. So I got those pictures together. I knew the pattern of layouts that I was going to do for those events. And then underneath the pictures, there's some notes here, like where we stayed, what we did, some friends met us there. The journaling notes are in the computer in the journal labeled March 28, 2008. And the memorabilia is in a file cabinet labeled March of 08. So if you're not using a holding album, which we'll talk about later, this is a way to combine all that information into one super easy to find place. And when you pull those pictures from the Hawaii trip, you know exactly where to go to get your journaling notes and exactly where to go to get the memorabilia that's in the file cabinet. So when you're ready to get started. And those go into the box labeled 2008, 2009 ready to scrap. So now when you're ready to work on those pictures, it's a simple process of finding them, and you don't get overwhelmed. So this is our new photo and memory organizer kit. So it's a box that also includes 10 of the file folders. If you're not really a great journaler, file folders or even the folder and a half papers are really helpful because you have all the information there that you'll need to either put on the back of your layout or maybe even become a better journaler. So the file folders really prompt you to actually put that information down. Where are there are more photos from the event, where are they stored? If there's memorabilia, where is it? So it kind of forces you, because you have those prompts, to actually get that done. So now when you're ready to scrapbook, and this is the file folders, but it's the same way the ready to scrap boxes look, you can go right into your box and pull out exactly what you want to work with. So you see Orlando 2004. When I open this box, if the Orlando pictures are what I want, I can go right in and just pull those out. I don't get distracted looking through the whole stack of summer 2004 pictures to get to Orlando. I've already got them in there. I've got some journaling notes with them. Maybe a little bit of memorabilia is in there with them, or directions to the other memorabilia. So it makes it really simple. One of the things about photo storage is that when you put all those pictures together and you start looking through them, you really spend a lot of time and it's enjoyable time. But when you're digging through those pictures, the time that you wanted to spend scrapbooking is now eaten up by looking through old pictures. So this way, it's easy to go. I'm going to work on Orlando, go right to Orlando, pull out that file folder, put the lid on the box, and get to work. So everything's together in one easy place. So especially if you're going to a crop. So if you wanted to grab those sorted photos and work with them and take them to a crop or class or friend's house, it's easy. So here's this is our A-frame tool tote, and I just took a file folder and put it in there, so I know that that's what I'm going to work on. I'm able to get out the door with it. Okay, let's talk about digital photo storage, and it's not that different than physical. It's just that we're doing it in cyberland, or trying to pause to drink right there. So you're going to have your My Photos file on your desktop, and within your My Photos file, you're going to have files by year. And I can't stress enough the importance of doing this chronologically. People get tempted to move files into other things, like like I'm going to put my files of the dog, pictures of the dog, under a file called Hank, and they all just end up in there. And I'm going to put the files of London in the file called London. Well, then when I'm working on something like Christmas, I may miss those pictures of the dog with a bow on his head or London unwrapping his gift because they're not also in the Christmas file. So that's one of the advantages to tagging photos, is being able to search them out that way. And when I talked about that creative memories thing, I think you can really micromanage your photos in the creative memories. I think it's called Memory Manager or something like that. But chronologically is always the best way to go. And then within each year, you want to have the file names need to be the same, again, for sorting purposes. So the year, and then Christmas is always Xmas for me. I'm a shortcutter. Again, I believe that if it's easy to do it, the less keystrokes, the better off you're going to be. So shorten up things when you can, and then keep a cheat list, which we'll talk about in the perpetual calendar of the codes you use. So this is what it might look like if you open my photos. You would see the years in my computer, and then within each year you would see the events that happened in that year. So digital photo storage. Again, choose the number of layouts you'll do for each event prior to looking at the pictures. Choose the photos you're going to use for your layouts, and move all the photos into a Just OK folder or delete them. So if you open that Christmas 2010, and I decided that I was going to do, 5 double-page spreads, I would have my ready to scrap photos for Christmas, and then I would have another file folder that says like Just OK Christmas or something. So, and the Just OK folder is there for people who can't get rid of things. If you just cannot delete those pictures, or you cannot put them in your recycle bin, you don't want to put them in the same folder with your ready to scrap pictures, because those are ready to go by layout. You don't want to get, again, sucked into re-looking at hundreds of pictures. When you go through them the first time, you want to sort them out. So if inside each folder you may have a Just OK folder and then your ready to scrap pictures, and that's totally fine. So, but as you look through those pictures, you're going to move. The ready to scrap pictures are going to stay where they are, and the pictures that you're probably not going to scrap but don't want to throw away are going to get just bounced over into that Just OK folder. So you're going to have that folder within your folder. You don't have to tag every image of every picture that you've got. You can group tag everything by highlighting everything and hitting rename and then putting the date and some keywords into it. And then if you just tag a few of the other pictures with other keywords, they're all going to come up when you use your search function. So your major tag on everything might be 2010, 07, 09, Disney, right? And that'll be the major tag on everything. And then you might go into a couple of other photos and tag things like, parade, ride, whatever. Because when you go in and search Disney and ride, it's going to bring up that picture with the tag, which is going to tell you, and it'll indicate in what folder that picture is, and then you can find all the rest of the Disney pictures that way. And the more information you give your computer, the more it's going to look for. So if you say 2010 Disney ride, that's all you're going to get. But if you just type in Disney ride, you might get pictures of your kids on Disney rides from birth to age, however old they are that you've tagged pictures. So you can use a big search, or you can really refine your search based on the information that you've got. So I hope that makes sense. But you don't have to tag everything, because when you find one picture, it's going to be in the file folder with all the rest of the Disney pictures from that event. Keep your keystrokes to a minimum, and don't do all the pictures. And be realistic. Not every group of photos needs to be sorted and organized, because you're probably not going to scrap every group of photos, right? So if you take pictures of something that, I don't know, maybe it's just your kids playing Frisbee in the backyard, okay? And you can just group label those, summer 2012, Frisbee, and put all the photos in there. And then when you get caught up on your major events of scrapbooking and you're going back and looking for other things to scrapbook about, you'll find those. What I do is I have a photo that, a file that's just called Snapshots for the year. So Snapshots 2012. And that's where I put all of those pictures. So these are things that probably I'm not going to scrapbook about. I might, but probably not going to make it to my scrapbook pages for whole topics. And then at the end of the year, I go through and do a double-page layout, and it's called like the year in review, or one of those things that I take off some TV show that's coming up or whatever. And then I'll go into that snapshots file and choose a whole bunch of pictures and do this tiny picture collage of the whole year. So I do go back and use those. I just am not going to create whole pictures with them, whole pages with them. But I have them, and I know where they are. And again, you can tag them in groups. So the pictures of my kids playing Frisbee, I would tag all those pictures, Frisbee and, summer and the date or whatever it is, and then I would move them all into that Snapshots 2012 file. They're all going to stay together in that file because the tag is the same. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. So if for some reason I did need to find them, I could just go into my search box, type in Frisbee, and then it would pull all those pictures up at one time so I could find them quickly and easily. But I guess my point is, don't overwhelm yourself trying to tag every picture individually that you get. Give yourself major clues that it's easy to find your way back to those photos. So a perpetual calendar is what I use to keep track of all the little ways that I tag things, so I don't have to remember what they are. So you can see at the very top, so there's two perpetual calendars here. If you've never used or heard of a perpetual calendar, it's a calendar with that doesn't match any year. It doesn't have days of the week. It's just a month and 1 through 31. And the value of that is that you can use it for the rest of your life and just add things to it because it's things that are just associated with a particular date. So at the top line of the one that I just made in an Excel spreadsheet, it says H dates, holidays, and the month that they fall in. Now, Easter sometimes falls in March and sometimes falls in April. So I always tag it for March because when I want to look for Easter, that makes it easy for me to look for Easter in March. Because you can use your computer to just put the word Easter on everything, it's not as relevant as it used to be for sorting, but that's how I've always done it. So that's how I still do it. And I always know that I can find Easter in a March file on my computer or in a March file in my boxes of photos. So, but the tags across the top, so Martin Luther King, President's Day, Easter, Spring Break. Spring Break's another one. Sometimes it happens in March and sometimes it happens in April, but it's there so I remember how I coded it. So I always use SB. I always spell out the word Easter. And then November's Thanksgiving, but it's not always the same day, so it's just tagged TG. So when I'm tagging pictures, instead of typing out the whole word Thanksgiving, I just type in TG, and that's when I search for TG, I'm going to find all the Thanksgiving pictures. And then the rest of them indicate people's birthdays, or St. Patrick's Day is STP, so the Valentine's Day, B-Day. And those tags are right on the actual day because those days never change. So that's a spreadsheet that you can do on your computer using Excel. And then you just add in people's birthdays on there, so it doubles as a birthday calendar. If you always want to remember to send birthday cards to people or whatever, this makes it easy. Although Facebook makes it really easy now because you always get a reminder. With that said, thank you to all of you who posted birthday wishes to me last week. That was really, really fun, so thank you for that. And then the other perpetual calendar on the right side is a calendar that's put out by, I'm drawing a blank, not Stampin' Up, close to my heart. And it's the same kind of thing, but it's just a prettier version that you can just hang on your wall. So either way, make it simple and easy to get to. So if you like to just write things down and hang it on the wall, then you can buy one, or you could print one off too and put those codes on there. But that way, when you're organizing pictures, instead of trying to remember, now did I code, like my mother's birthday is September 7th, right? So all the pictures of my mom, that could be confusing because I might use Tamara, I might use mom if I'm thinking about her from my perspective, I might use grandma if I'm thinking about her from my kid's perspective, and then I'd have to search for all three of those names when I was looking for pictures. So this way, I know that everything about my mother is going to be tagged mom. So I tag my own stuff with pictures of me in it as Tiffany, because I use mom for my mom. So that makes it easy to remember how to tag. I hope that makes sense, and it's kind of a cumbersome. Oops, I'm going the wrong way with my mouse here. Okay, so this week's challenge is to establish your physical and computer filing system. To sort 2 boxes, piles, drawers of photos. I want you to add 1 additional box for each family helper you can recruit. So I know a lot of you have family game night or a particular night when you do something together as a family. This is the perfect activity for this week on that family night, to sit around the table with boxes of photos and have everybody help you sort and organize those photos, because it is subjective. And again, bring a little notepad with you or little index cards or whatever you want to use. And then when your family tells stories or remembers something particular about that trip or event, you have something to write it down with, and you can throw it right in there with the photo. So whether it's a sticky note or a notepad or your super hip technology and you're going to just type it all into a journal in your iPad or whatever it is, you want to have that available. You want to sort 1 year of digital photos and then sort 1 container of other supplies into your 4-section system. And again, a container could be a little tiny box. It could be a shoe box. It could be a great big box. Whatever 1 container you have time to sort, get that done. Sort 4 more inches of paper. You paper junkies who are still not done sorting your paper, add another 4 inches of paper. And then post your success on Facebook, so all our friends on Facebook can share that with you. Okay, so that is the end of my my lecture presentation or whatever for today. So I'm going to reopen the question panel. Now, Sharon asked earlier about reprinting those pictures or having pictures show up again in another album because she forgot that she had already scrapped them. So there's a couple of easy ways to do that. If you're using physical pictures, it's really easy because you have the Ready to Scrap box. And when you go into that Ready to Scrap box, you can, I'll kind of scroll back here to it. So when you go into your Ready to Scrap picture box and you pull out those Orlando pictures, when you're done scrapbooking Orlando, those Orlando pictures, they're gone from the Ready to Scrap box. Anything that's left that you didn't use, you're just going to take the pictures out and you're going to move them over into this chronological box of pictures and put them in there. Now, I would suggest that at that point you just write on the front of the file folder or the piece of paper or however you're filing them in there, sticky note, whatever, these were scrapped, blah, 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 and whatever the date is or, however they are in your album, and then put it in there. So if you complete all the pictures in your Ready to Scrap box and you get all caught up on those, and then you want to go back to your chronology box and kind of go through and see if there's things in there to scrap about. The ones that you have scrapped about are tagged. But it becomes really simple once they're printed and filed away like this, because you're only going to scrap what's in your Ready to Scrap box, and anything that's not in there has either already been scrapped or it's in the or it's something you didn't think you were going to scrap about. Truthfully, I'm not that worried about everybody getting caught up and scrapbooking all the pictures in the Ready to Scrap box, because every time I teach a class at a show, and it's been almost 10 years, and I ask who's caught up, I bet in the 10 years I've been teaching, I've probably had 6 people raise their hands and say that they're caught up. So so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But that makes it really easy. Once you've got them sorted and you have your Ready to Scrap box, then you're good. Then you'll know. Now, in the process between digital and printed, right, because we all have these older pictures that are already printed, and then now you've set up your digital file so you have the file that you're going to print. So, you went through your Disney pictures, you put the 36 pictures you're going to scrap are sorted separately from the Just Okay pictures. When you're ready to scrap Disney, you print those Disney pictures and then change the title on your file folder to say printed, so that you know that they're done. And then you can take the printed pictures, and if you're ready to take them right to the crop with you, you're good to go. But if you just want to have them in your Ready to Scrap box, then you can put them in the Ready to Scrap box with that same information on them. So really, it goes back to the same sort of strategy of, just writing that quick note to yourself so you know what's going on. I know trying to rely on your brain to remember that kind of information once you pass 40 is pointless. Sorry. It just is. I never thought it was going to be true. My mom used to always say it to me, but it's true. That kind of information leaves the building, as they say. So, all right. So let's see. Going back to questions here. Let's see. Those are already answered from earlier. Good morning from all over the country. Kim from Walnut Creek is with us. Karen has finished her big benefits board. Way to go, Karen. Congratulations. Nancy says, what tool or method do you suggest using to remove binders from the ScrapRack? The Velcro on my frequently used binders coming off the 3 metal piece because I move often. Just use a bone folder, or I actually use the basic gray rub-on roller tool. So you may already have one. Let me go to my cheat note here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about for those of you who don't know. So if you go to the accessories page, I think that's where it is. And it's right here, the basic gray rub-on roller tool. And it has this flat end. And so if you just put that between the Velcro on the base and the Velcro on your binder and slide it gently down, it's going to pop that binder right up into your hand. You can do the same thing with a bone folder or even some other blunt edge instrument like a butter knife or a palette knife, like a painter's. I think it's called a palette knife. It's just like a round knife. What you don't want to do is put something under there and then like crank it up so that you might break the tip off your bone folder or something. I had a gal at the last show told me that she broke her bone folder doing it that way. Don't apply that much pressure. Just get it between the binder and the base unit and just slide it down. It'll pop right off in your hand. Karen says, I have sorted mine, I'm assuming she means photos, by person, place, and thing. Is that okay? I just wouldn't recommend it. I would just recommend putting things in chronological order by events, because if you need a picture, that's an easier way for your brain to remember where they are, that chronological line of things. And doing the family timeline even more so will make it easier. You can always say, I want Easter pictures of London, and your brain right there says Easter pictures, so you already know that they're in March or April, and you can go to March and April of every year that you want Easter pictures of London and pull them. But if you go to your London file and then you have to look through all those pictures. You may not have any Easter pictures of him in that file because you forgot to put them in there because they're over in Easter. So really keeping it chronological. I wouldn't, don't misunderstand me. If you've already got it sorted that way, then I wouldn't spend hours resorting it. Again, I'm not a big advocate of reinventing things. I would figure out a way to attach things together in your brain so it's easier to find them. But chronologically, the other thing about chronologically, and I hate to mention this, is that if something happened to us, other people can find things chronologically pretty easily, but they may have no idea that you have things sorted by person, place, or thing, and how to find the things that they might need or want. So Brenna says, I have an issue with stamps that are trains, dinosaurs, cars, and trucks. I'm not sure where to put them. Outdoors, travel, or should I make a whole other section, transportation, and put dinosaurs and animals? I have stamps, stickers, embellishments, and paper in these themes for my 2 boys. Also, which one should I use, vacation or travel, or would this go in outdoors? I got overwhelmed last night. When you get overwhelmed, it's time to have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and put your feet up and relax. I think you answered your own question because you just told me that you have all these things and they're for your 2 boys. So if that's where you're going to use them, right, the trucks and the trains and the dinosaurs are all about your boys. I have boys, and when my boys were little, I had a section that was just boys. And those things I bought in particular to use with boys. I'm not going to use dinosaurs anywhere other than on pages for them going to the dinosaur museum with their kindergarten class, or playing with dinosaurs in the sand pit in the backyard, or whatever. If you bought with intention, store with intention, because you want those things to pop up for you when you see them. So that's really the important thing. And there's a difference to between trucks and trains for kids, for little kids, and the kind of train die cuts or sticker or whatever that you might use if you're traveling through Europe. So if you bought with intention, store with intention, because that's where you want to use it, and you want it to pop up for you in that case. And then the next thing, which should I use, vacation or travel, or would this go in outdoors? So I think for most people, vacation and travel are the same category, right, especially for young families, because we tend to only travel when we're on vacation. So I think that it doesn't, whatever works for your brain. That said, TUV are all together in the end of the alphabet. So even if you decided you wanted to have a travel section for things like, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how you might divide that up. So I don't think it matters. I think you can put travel and vacation together in one section, and you'll be just fine. Now, for those of you who travel, you know, especially as we get older and travel becomes something different than it is when we're traveling with small children, then you might have a travel section that has a section that's Europe, U.S., you know, Mexico, wherever it is that you like to go. But again, you want to keep all of your travel vacation things together, because suitcases and airplanes and passports and that kind of stuff are going to work across the board for all different types of travel to all different kinds of places. So I think you can lump travel vacation under one tab. But this is an important point here that Brenda brings up, in that when it gets hard to make decisions and you start to feel overwhelmed, you don't want to paralyze, the term paralysis by analysis, you don't want to paralyze yourself and get frustrated when you're doing that. So keep in mind that if you're thinking, should this go in transportation, should it go in boys, should it go in dinosaurs, if your brain is already thinking that those are the three categories it would be in, then your brain is going to think that next time too. So you can just put it in that category, any one of them, and it's going to pop up for you. So I hope that makes sense. So, but, you know, if you bought with intention, store with intention, and then you'll be able to find what you need. Okay. DB says, will we be able to print the webinar when it's done? I won't be able to hear it all. Yes, I'll put up the PDF for it on that same page. Sandra says, I just signed up, so I missed the first 15 minutes. During my 20s and 30s, I did a lot of traveling in Europe and the Middle East. I have lots of pictures, but no information about when and where they were taken. Of course, some places are obvious, Rome, Paris, Egypt, but how do I organize and scrap these? I would organize them by trip. So, you know, it's obvious that, you know, you could do major group Europe, you could do major group, you know, Middle East or North Africa or whatever it's going to be, and put all those pictures together. And then you can fill in the blanks as you go. One of the amazing things about your brain is that once you start to group things together, so let's say all those pictures from Rome, and those are all grouped together, and then as you start to put them together, you will start to remember more and more about that trip and where you went and what you did and the different things that you saw. So the truth of the matter is, you can put you can title your pages Rome, put all those pictures in, and then as things start to come back to you, you can go in and add that journaling, like this was, you know, I don't know, the Vatican City, or this is the Colosseum, or whatever it is, and then you'll be able to fill in those blanks. But group things by things that already connect them, right? Connecting is the key. So if they're all Rome and they're all from one trip, put them all together. And all Egypt, all from that trip, put them together. And then it'll be easier as your brain starts to sort of fill in the blanks for you. And it will. That's what our brains do, especially as women. They connect information for us. So Marcia says, can you please post a link for your perpetual calendar? Yes, let me write a little note to myself. I will actually, it's just a spreadsheet from Excel, and but I will, usually I sit here with a pen and a piece of paper, and I didn't set myself up today. So I'm going to post a link, or I'll link to perpetual calendar. I'll put it up as an Excel document that you can download, but it's pretty simple. I mean, you could do it pretty easy. What do we do with pattern scraps? You put your pattern scraps in the same section that they belong in. So if they're Christmas paper, they're going to be in the, for me, it's in the very back. Scraps are in the very back of my section. So if you look at Christmas, I would have my smallest pockets in the front, so that Sweet 16 pocket, you know, followed by, you know, Dream Dozen if you still have some of those around, and then, you know, Perfect 6, Fabulous 4, Double X, Super Single, and that's going to be all my embellishments, and then followed by paper, and then behind paper I have all my scraps. Now, there are other people who have their scraps right in front of their paper, and that's probably a smarter thing to do. I never thought about it. Someone brought it up, I think, in the last webinar, because if you see your scraps first, then you're more likely probably to use those scraps rather than looking at your papers first and cutting something up. You might see a value there. So I might be rearranging my strategy based on that comment from last week. So, but, you know, colored scraps are going in colored paper. Theme scraps are going in the theme, and holiday and seasonal scraps are going in holiday. Susie says, can you put your empty perpetual calendar in the Facebook docs for us, or is it there already? I will try, but I have to tell you guys, I'm so impressed with all of you who load information into the docs file in Facebook. Every time I try to do it, I guess I'm Facebook challenged. I can't quite figure it out. But if I can't get it in there, I will post a link to it on the website, and, you know, like a download link. And then anybody else who wants to take my documents and load it into Facebook Docs, I'm happy for you to do that. Karen says, after we have printed the pictures, do we delete them from our computer? I wouldn't delete them from the computer. I mean, just depends. I know a lot of people have trouble deleting them from their computer. I would not delete them from the computer because we don't have negatives anymore. If you still had your negatives, I'd say, sure, what the heck. But putting them on the computer is sort of the modern day version of the negative. But I would indicate on that folder that these are printed. And you can even put a note that says printed and filed and where they're filed, so that when you go back into the computer, like Sharon was saying, you know, I've scrapped these twice because I didn't know that I was done with them. If you put that note right on the file folder, printed and filed and where the printed pictures are, or printed and scrapped, or whatever it is, and then you won't reprint them by mistake or think that you haven't done them. Paula says, in a previous webinar, the program OneNote was discussed, mentioning a webinar coming soon. Do you have a date set for this? I reviewed OneNote, and it looks like a great way to have online projects and ideas, etc. Oh, Paula, yes, you're going to get a commitment out of me. Okay, so I will book the OneNote webinar today, and I love OneNote. I'm using it for so many different things. It's such a cool tool. There is a Mac version of it. So I will book the OneNote webinar today. I will commit to the date, and I will put a link up in the follow-up email from the class today, and I'll put a link up on Facebook, and I'll get it out in emails and stuff. But I will commit to doing OneNote before the end of this summer. How about that? These weeks recently I have been really, you know, we were in New Hampshire and home, and in Orlando and home, and Arlington and home, and now we go to Chantilly and home, and Atlanta and home. So this period of the last 6 weeks has been kind of brutal for me to get anything done, but I'm committed. I'm committed to the OneNote webinar because I love it. I love OneNote. There's also another program that's very similar called Evernote, which is available on the internet also, and as an app. So, but either one of those is going to work similarly. So if you take the OneNote webinar, you'll be able to figure out both. So thank you, Paula, for pushing me on that. Kay says, want to put a whiteboard around a whole group of 4x6 pictures in software, Walgreens. I have to pull up each picture to select the frame, white, save. I have 96 photos from a golf tournament at different golfers. Want a white frame on every picture, add name onto the top of the picture, and then print and slide into the album pages with slots. I'm not sure if, oh, here we go. Sorry, can I pick all pictures at once and put white frame on all 96? I'm pretty sure you can do that with all your pictures at Costco. I have my pictures printed at Costco, but it seems like you can check all the boxes and make that happen. I also think that you can do that in Picasa, so I'm not really sure. Kay, that's an awesome question for the Facebook group, though. I mean, we have so many tech-savvy people and other people who actually use Walgreens, so they would be able to help you with that. So please post that on Facebook. The thing about questions, ladies, is that if you have that question, there are probably dozens of others who have the exact same question. So this is a great place to get it out there and then straight through with it on Facebook, or if I can't answer it or whatever. But when you're asking a question for yourself, you should probably feel pretty confident that you're asking a question for a couple dozen other people at the same time. So Cynthia says, should you always date your photos on the back or have it printed on the photo and hid with a sticker? Cindy J. from Twin Locks. I would say absolutely. I think the advantage to writing the date on the back of the picture when you print it, if you're, a lot of places do put the date that it was printed on the back, so at least that's a guidepost. But if you, when your pictures are printed, if you write the date of the event on the back, that way if that picture gets separated somehow or whatever, then you at least know you have some information about it. I mean, think about all the pictures that you've been given as a scrapbooker from your family who say, hey, here's some old pictures from when we were kids or whatever. When you flip it over and the dates on the back or the names of the people in the picture on the back, you're just so thankful for it. So I would totally, you know, I don't know if there's this stamp you can use on the back of photo paper that dries really quickly, but, you know, even if you have a whole bunch of pictures that you can stamp on the back with, so that way if the pictures get separated from the herd, you at least know where they are. So I would say yes. Melita from BC, Canada says, all my pictures are digital and organized in my computer by the date and title, i.e. 2010 Caribbean Cruise, and then it has a subfolder for each day of the cruise. I print the pictures and I'm ready to scrap them as I can resize crop exactly to what I need. I then create a folder inside each called Used. As I print and scrap the photos, they are then moved to the Used file, so I don't actually print out the pictures that have already been sent. Once the entire event is complete and then scrapped, I can delete the Used and parent files. So there's a great way that Melita does it, just going through those steps. And taking the extra minutes to tag things that way is going to save you a lot of time later and prevent you from double scrapping something, I guess. Annette says, I have many pictures that are from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that I wrote nothing on and don't really know the actual date. Some I remember the event, and some are just a family for no reason except that we were together. What would you suggest for filing these? I would first try to get them into the right decade, and then within the right decade into the right year if possible, or 2 or 3 or 5 year blocks. But I think if you create your timeline and then you find a few pictures of, you know, Easter of, you know, 1967, and you see how people looked and how tall they were or what they were wearing or whatever, then you might come across another picture and go, hey, you know, my brother had the same haircut. This must have also been 1967 or close to it, or he's about the same size or whatever. So I think the timeline idea, especially for older pictures like that where you don't have any information, can really be helpful later. Now, one of the things I've seen since this was brought up to me was somebody who took their scrapbook room and ran that timeline all the way around their room as a border, and then they had pictures up and down on that timeline, and it was really a cool way to decorate the room and also to give yourself this giant reference of, you know, what had happened in your life. So it was just a cool, I thought, a really cool tool. Now, with that said, I have these things that I got at IKEA in my kids' TV room, and I'll take a picture of them. I'm going to write that down too, IKEA in TV room. Okay. And they're supposed to be for curtains, I think. But they have these little clips on them, so they're just these wires that you string across the wall. And so I just strung them across the wall in my kids' TV room. And whenever we go somewhere or do something, I get some good pictures. I'll blow one up at Costco because it's cheap for like $2 or $3. You can get like a, you know, 11 by 14 or 19 by whatever size it is. And then I just take the old pictures down and clip new ones up. So it's a really easy way to clip pictures up and change the pictures in that room all the time. I have 2 teenage boys, they don't really care, to be honest with you, but I like it. And so doing something like that around your room or on a wall, and the beauty of it is the clips are all they all move around. So if you find something that belongs in the middle of two pictures that are already hung, there's one that I saw, she had like tacked the pictures on the wall, and then you'd have to really move things around. But if you use these wires, you could constantly be adding things in or moving things around, which is the beauty of the timeline. So I'll post a picture of what that looks like, and that'll probably give you a better sense of that timeline. But the timeline is really a cool thing. Linda says, thanks for the great webinar. Looking forward to the challenge. Wow, tubs of pictures. Very cute. Shelly says, hi, Shelly. I haven't seen your name pop up for a while. She says, I use the travel theme and subcategorize destinations, states, locations in alphabetical order under that main theme. I then put all the various forms of getting to my travel locations under transportation, subcategorizing, auto, plane, ship, boat, again, in alphabetical order. Just an FYI for those who are stuck. Great suggestion, Shelley. Tammy says, I came in late as well. Is this going to be available recorded so I can hear it from the beginning? Yes. So once you get to our website, you're just going to go over here to the Overwhelmed to Organize big button that's lighting up pink on your screen, hopefully. Click on that and then scroll down and you'll find it. And usually, it depends how long it takes to download, but it usually gets up sometime Tuesday afternoon. Krista says, I do an album for each of my children of only events individual to them. Should I have a folder with their names on it under each year, or just a big folder with their names and the years, and then the years within that folder? I wouldn't do either, Krista. I would put, I would keep everything in chronological order, and maybe just use a sticky note if you want to make their name pop up on that or whatever. But let's take Christmas, for example. Well, I don't know. You said that you only did it for particular things. But so, you might have Susie's ballet recital and the date, and just put it in chronological order. That's what I would recommend, because you're going to go chronologically to find those pictures when you're ready anyway, right, as you scrap through. So you open that box, and then you're like, there's Susie's ballet recital from June. That's what I want to work on. And you pull out that one ballet recital, or, there's the rehearsals for the Nutcracker or whatever she's doing, and you can pull those out. But I would always keep things in chronological order, because it's so much easier to follow along for your brain that way to find things. So, because you will remember chronologically, you may not remember all the details of things, or you will be able to find them chronologically because you're not relying on memory, if that makes sense. Brenda says, when organizing the alphas, do you organize by sticker, paper, die-cut brad, especially with the rub-on books? No, I organize by size. This comes up regularly. One of the things about alphabets is that you're often collaging alphabets together, right? When you need an alphabet sticker, or when you need an alphabet sticker, you need a particular size of alphabet sticker, right? So my alphabets are all the small ones first, so I might have little tiny alphabet tiles and alphabet buttons and those little things all in a Sweet 16 page. And then when you turn the page, then you're on to like the next bigger size, a perfect 6, or I might have my unmounted rubber stamp alphabets that are small in that section. But when you're spelling something out, and I use 4th of July often as an example, and you want to write the words 4th of July, but you get to your white stickers and you don't have all the letters you need for 4th of July, but you might also have in that exact same font and that exact same size, the word July in blue and the word of in red or whatever. But because all your stickers are grouped together by size, you can see that you have enough stickers in that font in a variety of colors to write that word. So, and even if you're a collage-y person, you probably want the majority of your stickers to be similar sizes in that collage. You're going to have bigger ones and smaller ones, but you can choose them by size rather than going through over and over and looking back and forth through things. You're going to be able to choose them by size, and then you're going to have all the similar things together with a variety of colors, if that makes sense. So people are tempted to put all of their white alphabets together and all of their red alphabets together and all their blue alphabets together, but then to spell the word 4th of July, you have to look in 3 different places and continually pull a bunch of things out rather than just going to one place and seeing all the things that you've got that might work. So I hope that makes sense. I know that's another one of those OCD things. And the same thing with rub-on books. I put the whole rub-on alphabet book together in a pocket page. Now, they fit great in the perfect 6 pages. Usually most of the little skinny rub-on books, like the ones that used to come out from Creative Imaginations, I had a bunch of those. It's also going to fit really nicely in our new straight 8 page, which comes into the month. Okay, Tammy says, just a suggestion. When done with pictures on the computer, you've printed them, etc., burn them to a DVD, then you can delete them from the computer. Photos can take up a lot of space on a hard drive. So that's absolutely true. If you're not using like a terabyte backup drive or whatever, then you can burn them right onto a CD, and there's a new thing out called Picture Keeper that'll hold 250,000 pictures on a little thumb drive. It's a little bit expensive, but it's and it downloads right off your computer also, so it's really easy to do that as well. But moving them onto some other storage device is a great idea. So whether it's an external device or something like a DVD or a thumb drive. Paula says, thanks so much. I'm excited. Love your ideas for organizing. Thank you. You're so welcome. I'm glad that you find value in them because I enjoy teaching. Marcia says, how do you sort specialty papers like non-theme transparencies, mulberry vellum, mesh sheets, etc.? By color, usually. Transparency sheets will either have like some random design on them that's a color, or a random design on them that's a theme. So 2 things are coming to mind for me. One is vellum sheets that were done with Christmas motifs on them by Creative Imaginations. Not vellum, sorry, transparencies, but vellum too, I guess. And so those, even though it's a transparency, this is the biggest challenge because we've sort of been trained to compartmentalize these things. Well, if you have your Christmas transparencies with your Easter transparencies, with just your, things that have random blue artistic designs on them, transparencies, you're not going to remember that they're there when you're working on Christmas pages. So put the ones with Christmas motif in Christmas and the blue ones in blue. Now, you want to protect some of this stuff, some things that are more delicate, the vellums or the transparencies or the mulberry papers. And so if you have a blue mulberry paper, you might want to put it into a supersized single pocket all by itself so it's protected, or transparency with blue designs on it so it's protected. But put it right there in the blue section so that when you are looking for something blue for your page, that's where it will pop up for you. Remember, what we're trying to do is get our brains organized to know where to look for things. And so we want to make it as simple as possible. So if it has a theme on it, even though it's something strange like a vellum or a transparency, it's still going to go in the theme. If it's got something else on it that's color, it's by color. I hope that helps. Candy says, regarding ScrapRack pages, for what do you use the top-loading supersized single pages, and for what do you use the side-loader pages? Other than top or side-loading, what's the difference between them? The difference between them is the top-loading supersized single page is made of the same food-grade plastic as the rest of what we call the basic storage pages. So people, both the side loader and the supersized single page do the same job. They hold things that are 12 by 12, right? They both hold multiple sheets of paper. The reason the side loader exists is because some people just love the fact that it's made of a little bit heavier fabric. And so it acts like almost like a divider in terms of helping to provide stability for your pages. Because it's a little bit thicker, the perception is that it provides more security to the edges and corners of your pages. The biggest benefit to the side loader single is, depending on where your scrap rack is located, you don't have to stand up and pull the paper out of the top. It's just going to slide right out the side. But they both do the same job. The supersized single, you get 10 pages in a package for $12. The side loader single, because it is made of a heavier gauge of plastic, it's more expensive. You get 5 of those for $15, if I'm remembering correctly. But essentially, they do the exact same job. So it's just a personal preference issue and maybe an economy issue as well. Tina says, have you had the convention in Duluth, Georgia yet? If not, when is it? It is the first weekend of July, so I believe the 4th of July is a Wednesday. Setup is the Thursday, the 5th, and so the show is going to be the 6th and 7th of July, and that is a Scrapbook Expo show. So you can get the details on it at www.scrapbook. I'll send this to all of you, expo.com. You can get the details there for that show. But no, it hasn't happened yet. So please come and visit us if you're in that area. Heidi says, set the white border as the default, and you should be good to go for the whole order. So for you, Kay Brassfield, who follow-up post with thanks, I'll post on Facebook. But it sounds like Heidi has answered your question. Choose the white border as the default, and it'll do all the pictures in your group. Brenna says, yes, Picasso will put white borders on everything at the same time. Kay says, I do 2 big tournaments a year for 6 or 7 years, so she's got a lot of pictures to go there. Paula says, to help with titles and dates, you could use an address label like Avery with computer type and print them and put them on the back of the pictures. So there's a good way also, so you can do a bunch of labels at one time. And with that said, Avery makes those file folder labels, and they also make a little tiny one that's only like 1 inch. So you could print like 50 of them on a sheet or something. So if you want to put a sticker on the back of your pictures without and not have to handwrite information on the back, that's a great suggestion. Kay says, Creative Memories makes a photo-safe pencil. They recommend to write in dates and info on the back of your pictures and won't press through or mar the pictures. So a great suggestion. I think I have a few of those Creative Memories pencils, actually. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about those. 3 says, suggestion, when you go to a crop, put the pictures you want to crop into the 4x6 sheet. You can also store the pictures there and put them with the paper that you will use to scrap. So yeah, you can put your picture layouts in the Perfect 6 pages and just group them by layout. Thanks for bringing that up, Jerry. And that says, before I took your class in Arlington last week at Arlington, I had started and finished organizing all the pictures in one large container into families, such as my sister's family, my sister-in-laws, my grandparents. Where do I go from now? From now, Annette, you just move forward and put things in chronological order, and you scrap the pictures that you put into that. So don't reinvent the wheel. You had a good idea, and you went with it, and you got the task done. So if you're going to scrap that way by family, then scrap that way by family. And if in the future, and if you're going to scrap something where you want pictures from all of those families, then you can go to that one place and say, okay, I'm looking for Christmas from everybody from 2010. And you can go to each family group and find the pictures from 2010 and put them all together and put them in your album. But unless you have endless hours in the day and nothing else to do, I wouldn't recommend reorganizing something. Worry about organizing the things first that are not organized. And then when you have extra time, you can go back and reorganize if you think that's a good choice. But you've got a system, and you may need to add some sticky notes or something to it to help you find things within that system. But don't, unless you have plenty of extra time, I wouldn't do it. I mean, you did it and you have a good handle on where it is, especially right now because it's fresh. So just go with it. Sandra says, you just mentioned your pages. Do you have a release or availability date? I think we're going to release around, maybe as early as the 10th, they'll get up on the website. I did a really silly thing when we left Arlington. We had stuff air freighted into Arlington. And with that, the new pages came. And I don't actually have the new pages. I just have prototypes, so there's some things in them that aren't quite right. And all the extra ones, there weren't a lot of them, but there were extra ones, and they just move on to Chantilly with all our show supplies. Nothing actually comes back to the warehouse. And as soon as I got off the plane in Seattle on Sunday morning, I thought to myself, oh, I should have brought samples some so I could at least get images up on the website. So Merle, my booth mate, took some of them home with her, and I just emailed her and said, please send me those. So as soon as I have pictures where I can actually show what the new embellishment page looks like and how it's going to hold your Cricut cartridges and your booklets and overlays and how all of those things work, they'll get up on the website. We are anticipating product to arrive at the end of the month. So definitely by somewhere between the 10th and the 15th, definitely by the 15th, we'll open up the website so can order them, and then it'll be like as we've done in the past. We just hang on to the orders until we're ready to start assigning things shipping priorities, shipping dates, or manifests, where we start assigning shipping manifests. And once we assign the shipping manifest, then we process the orders and send them through, and then it's just a couple of days from there until things get out the door. So Just watch for an email, but I'm hoping that it'll be in the next 5 to 10 days that we're able to open that up for all of you. I have a lot of acrylic embellishments of single words, tablets of single words and things. Where do you put those? That's from Annette. It depends what the word is. So you might have, happy birthday, obviously birthday, Merry Christmas, obviously birthday. You might also have generic words that are just things that say hooray, right, or celebrate or whatever. Things that might work in a variety of different places. So I have a section in the back of my themes, A to Z, that's labeled WOW, which is short for Words of Wisdom. And anything that's a word that is, excuse me, does not fit exactly into a category, or that I don't, bought with intention, file with intention, or store with intention, bought something with no intention. Like I found this really cool word that says hooray, right? So that could be used in so many different places. Hooray, I'm on vacation. Hooray, you graduated. Hooray, the baby arrived, whatever it is. So that's just in that Words of Wisdom section. And when I'm looking for things to add to pages or little poems or little words like that, they're just right there. And so I can easily go through that section and find different things that I might need. So if you bought it with intention, store it with intention. If I bought the word hooray for my son's 8th grade graduation, then it would be put in graduation. Without intention, it's just going to go in that Words of Wisdom section. Let's see. Kay says, at the depot. Sorry, never heard of. Is that Office Depot? I don't know. I may have said something that you just misunderstood because I don't think I said depot. So maybe if you clarify that for me, Kay. Sorry. Brenda says, thank you so much for these webinars. I just wanted to say, I know you said a multi-section is okay, but I decided to put it all multis behind the rainbow divider and then start with the actual colors. So that's perfect. Just so you know, right? Where is it in your brain? Regarding, where is it in your brain? That's what you want to look for. I'm sorry, I'm reading and talking at the same time. Kay says, regarding response about adding the white frame to all pictures. Costco. I do mine at Costco. Maybe that sounded like Office Depot. I'm guessing that might be it. Nancy says, is there going to be a coupon or sale date for the series of webinars? Is there going to be a coupon or sale date for the series of webinars? I'm not sure what the question is, Nancy. The webinars are free, so maybe I'm missing something. Repost. Dorothy said, so the 10% discount we got for the free shipping day will still be good even if the pages are delayed. Absolutely, it will still be good until I think it's scheduled. We'll schedule it to expire like 30 days after the new pages get here or something. So yes, if you bought on NSD and you got a 10% off coupon, you'll be able to use it. Nancy says, I made an occasion section for my balloons, celebrate, congratulations, etc. So yeah, that's another way to do it. So what's important is that it's going to be for where your brain is going to look for things. So if you think of those things as occasion or special occasion, then that's where they want to go. So wherever your brain is going to drive you. So go with your gut and don't let yourself get paralyzed by analyzing the situation. All right, ladies, it looks like we're at the end of the question period here. So that will conclude our webinar for this week. I'm going to quickly switch back here to the screen that has the challenge on it, so you can see that. Now, of course, you can get the workbook. You can download it off the website, or you can also ask Joanna for it at customer service if you don't have the workbook handy or you can't get the download. Feel free to email Joanna about that. So everybody, I want you to get busy on your pictures. I want to see lots of posts on Facebook about the success that you're having and the progress that you're making. If anybody takes pictures of your family, doing the family photo sort, that would be really fun to post on Facebook. And then I would have a picture to put up on my webinar for the next group of people showing the family photo sort. So if you do take some pictures while you're sorting your pictures, please post those on Facebook and or email them to myself or Joanna so I can actually use them in the webinar. So, all right, ladies, Have a very productive, exciting week, and I will talk to you next week when we talk about photos, memorabilia, journaling notes, and creating a holding album. Have a great week. Thanks for joining me today.